Oh god, here we go again. Let's start with, why do you read Webtoon Slop? Do you feel old? Do you wish you were younger? Because I do. I feel like I'm too old, but I've accomplished nothing significant. If I go back in time, I feel like I can accomplish success by the time I'm my age again. Is this why those reincarnation stories are so popular? Because everyone is feeling this way? They all want to go back in time to fix their life or start over and live another life perfectly. Do enough people live with these regrets? There are so many webtoon reviewers and haters criticizing Webtoon Slop, specifically the reincarnation or overpowered MC genre, but I've never heard from the people they're catered to. I've never heard their reasoning for consuming these webtoons and therefore incentivizing future replicas. So why do Webtoon Slop consumers continue to make those kinds of comics popular when the rest of us has had enough? Although I don't read these kinds of webtoons because I don't even read webtoons anymore, I feel like I have an idea for why these are still being made. Multiple times throughout my school years, my mom would ask, why don't you repeat a year? I think you're too young to be in this grade. Just because I was born in December. And I always thought, why the heck would I repeat a grade? I'm trying to speed run life here. I'm trying to get rich as fast as possible. Most importantly, I hate school. I want it to be over. So why would I spend another year here? And honestly, guys, I wish I repeated a year because I did not know what I was doing. I did not know how I would even become successful, and everything went downhill when I didn't even think there could be any hills left. So my theory is, are these webtoons all just for self-inserts, specifically for people who have suffered? I'm talking about the healing or revenge webtoons that exist solely for the satisfaction or catharsis of the mundane main character with no personality to either show us their wonderful current life or own every evil character too easily. You know, the ones where your previous life was shit, but in this life everyone loves you, or when you were plotted against and murdered in your past life, but this life you pay them back for what you've suffered because you know what's going to happen next. Maybe the MC is just living out our dream, the life we could never have because fantasy is not real. My theory is that people just can't watch the main character suffer anymore. Back in the olden days, it was common for the main character to be average looking and too nice, to the point of being bullied, but experiencing a character development arc where they change into a strong person. But now the main character is the best looking character in the webtoon who is already overpowered or all-knowing, or there's someone to protect them at all times. And I think it's the escape factor. We just don't want to read about another life being shit when we can experience that all we want in our real life, even at the cost of the main character suffering no real consequences for her actions. I really can't think of another reason why these webtoons are still consumed, because even I can't watch the main character suffer anymore. If I see it happening in shows, I just skip it, and I don't even do the self-insert thing because I don't know how. I can't wrap my head around how that's even possible. My brain doesn't function like that. A story is a story. Originally, I was also fed up with these webtoons that have the exact same premise, but now I feel like there is no point complaining about them. A lot of people like them for a reason, and wishing them gone because we don't like them feels incredibly self-centered. It reminds me of a Drew Gooden quote.
People are so entitled to having their free content be exactly the way they want it.
Let's talk about webtoon reviewers, channels that make money reacting to free content, who sound like they're pissed off about a free gift bag. You know when stores have those promotions where you get a free bag if you spend over $100? It's that energy, except they didn't even spend any money, yet they still yearn for that bag. And while there are actual webtoon reviewers like Maddie Bites, there are also webtoon haters like Chalupa and Blacklight Jack. I'm sorry, I thought these guys were the same person, but they're not. They all sound the same. They all say similar things, but I'm sorry, Chalupa, Blacklight Jack is so much worse. Unlike Maddie Bites, who deep dives into both positive and negative aspects of a webtoon, these other haters mostly focus on what they deem as problematic and spends the whole video just hating on the webtoon with the most surface level critiques, leaving no room for productive discussion. For someone who makes money by reading other people's works, they have no respect for these works. At least that was my impression of him in the past past anyway. They only read about 4 episodes of a webtoon. No wonder they're so surface level a lot of the times. Maddie Bites seems to read at least 30 before forming an opinion, and therefore is able to initiate a productive conversation. Chalupa doesn't make an effort, and what do I mean by offensive or disrespectful? One of his fans can tell us about that, because this commenter is so proud of him for learning to pronounce Korean names, because he used to rename characters because he didn't know how to pronounce them, instead of respecting the culture or language, which I don't know if it's better or worse than Blacklight Jack, who purposely butchered these names because he couldn't be bothered, which was the case in a video I saw in the past where he just calls the female lead a bitch because he doesn't want to try saying her name. Or as this commenter is telling us, renaming was also an option. Why did you respect him for that? Where did your standards go? If your standards are too high for Webtoon, it should also be too high for this guy. I genuinely wanted to enjoy his content because he can be entertaining at times, but every time I try to watch another one of his videos thinking maybe this isn't so bad after all, he says something so off-putting and then I have to change my mind again. Because if you didn't already know, he kind of sounds sexist sometimes too. They both do. The lack of respect for these webtoons almost feels gross, especially when you know the artists probably sleep like 4 hours a day. I just think he doesn't give enough credit where credit is due, and combined with derogatory criticism, it just makes them very unlikable. And I don't even enjoy the webtoons they're talking about, but you just can't help but realize that they've made a career off of these bad webtoon creators, so they really should be rooting for these creators to continue writing shitty works, and yet even something as basic as pronouncing names seems to be a recent feat. Also, please let me know if this is just me, but I'd rather watch a still image of his avatar looking at the camera talking to me rather than this unrelated footage of gameplay that I don't even know if he's the one playing. And I'm only saying this because apparently a lot of faceless commentary gameplay YouTubers don't even use their own recordings. They download free gameplay and use that for their own video. Is that not crazy? Wait, what? He actually does this? I genuinely didn't know. So then what does he do? That just feels so impersonal and insincere. At least use your own gameplay. How hard is it to play a game? But maybe you viewers watching are not like me. Maybe you don't think this gameplay thing is pointless and distracting, so I inserted some gameplay of my own. Let me know what you think. I think I played pretty well. I have a point that may be controversial, but hear me out. Chalupa focuses heavily on appearance in this video, which I personally think is shallow criticism. He has an issue with how an artist draws their characters' bodies, and I hear about this argument a lot, but it always feels unnecessary when people complain about a character's body shape, because isn't that the last thing to focus on when you really have no better criticism? An artist can draw whatever character design they want, as long as it's not offensive, of course, because who do you think you are?
I paid $0 for this. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined.
If you want to complain about how other people draw their characters, you can draw your own characters in your own stories. Real people do have insane body shapes. You're complaining because it's not common, as if you're entitled to representation of common body types in other people's works, as if every artist should follow your consumer values, as if artists are not allowed to draw their art the way they want. I would understand the criticism if the webtoon was about working out or something. It would make sense if the character has an average body and they work out to become muscular. But if that sort of thing is not the focus of the story, why are you bringing it up? Oh, the character doesn't exercise and she still looks like that, which is problematic? What are we doing here? Guilt-tripping the artist into drawing realistic body types? If you believe that a fictional character looking like this is going to delude anyone into thinking that they can also look like that in real life by not exercising, then develop some kind of body image issues when they discover that is not the case, then I can only say the artist is not responsible for the reader's stupidity. His logic is equivalent to saying YouTubers are responsible for the actions of their subscribers. Maybe the character had surgery in secret and that's why they look like that. It doesn't fucking matter. It's a fictional character, guys, not a fitness influencer claiming to have not taken taken steroids when they definitely took steroids. I'm sick of people complaining about how bodies are drawn. If people can't separate media and reality, they should not be consuming media. Even a middle schooler is old enough to understand the concept of fitness and kinesiology. Readers being exposed to an unrealistic story is not going to impact their real lives unless they're dumb, which again the artist shouldn't be responsible for. And you can disagree with me, but let's not pretend that kids are dumb. If you're looking for realistic bodies, watch a show, not a comic. And if you're still not convinced, what is the difference between reviewers complaining about art style and character design proportions or anatomy compared to art fixers? Why are videos fixing other people's art frowned upon, but the same actions of Webtoon haters are normalized? It's not like Webtoon teaches you how to draw once you're hired. A Webtoon artist is still an individual artist. Random people who can't draw complaining about proportions just baffles me because they cannot do any better. Like, some of these reviewers are fellow artists, and I have not seen better art from them. Every single person I've seen bring up this argument constantly can't even use their own advice. And if they had their own popular webtoon that got popular by following their own values, at least you know they're credible, but that's obviously not the case. Some people are haters of Korean comics as a whole, when all they've been on is a website called Webtoon. Titles like this make you sound racist. I can't even imagine saying an equivalent general statement like, "Why are manga so bad?" without putting my integrity on the line, unless I've read just about every single manga on the planet. It's the equivalent of saying manhwas are bad, after reading them from an off-brand Webtoon site. Saying manhwa is bad is literally saying Korean comics are bad. It screams the same logic as meeting one rude person who happened to be black and then going around saying black people are rude. And of course, it's another person comparing manhwa to manga.
Some people say that many manga are cliché and mediocre, which I'm not sure I'd agree with. But to those people, I'd say, have you ever read a manhwa?
I'm not going to get into why these two are incomparable again, but I will say, if you make it about race, you obviously will sound racist. If you want to talk about a specific platform, then talk about the platform. If you want to talk about Korean webtoons, talk about Korean webtoons. All you've read were webtoons. If you don't think this guy sounds racist just from the title, listen to this.
I hate this word. I can't say it properly. How do you guys say it? Manhwa? Manhwa? I don't know. Anyways, if you think most manga and anime are cliché, that's probably because you haven't been introduced to the world of manhwas.
Just search it up, you fucking idiot. I'm sorry, he's being so cringe. If he just searched it up, he could have learned how to say the word faster than the time it took him to say all of that. He hates the word because he can't pronounce it, because it's in another language. That's a completely normal thing to say, right? People who aren't racist say stuff like that about a foreign language, right?
The world of manhwas, or should I say the Sung Jin-woo multiverse.
You might have thought he was being racist, and I was very confused too, but don't worry. I guess he's talking about the main character of Solo Leveling. In case you think he's just not sure what the definition of manhwa is, even though he's made a video on it, he does.
In case you've been living under a rock, manhwas are basically Korean comics.
He knows they are Korean comics. I don't know why he includes basically in there, but still. Not all manhwas are webtoons, and he knows this.
Why do most manhwas look like copycats of each other? I mean the art style. I mean, look at this.
I'm sorry, but you cannot tell me that this looks like this. I think this is a case of you not being able to tell the difference between art styles, which is your own problem. I do see his point in general though, and I do agree that I can't even tell the difference between some webtoons art styles at first glance, even as an artist. But one, this is not the example to use, and two, I have only seen a few real examples of this, and no, they are not in webtoon videos, which that in itself is saying a lot, honestly.
If there were a global competition where artists had to copy each other's styles, Korean would take the win every single time.
Yes, let's make this about a country, as if copying styles don't exist everywhere.
Also, if you're annoyed by the amount of Kirito wannabes in manga,
He says Korea will win the copycat competition, but the characters he shows from anime are identical, and the models?
Be flabbergasted by how many Korean characters look like top models. Look at this girl, and this one, and this one.
The models he shows from Korean webtoons don't look alike, which is not helping his case. Why is he even comparing them? It's like he made this video just to engage manga elitists. There's the Disney aesthetic, the manhwa aesthetic, the manga aesthetic, the manhwa aesthetic. Have you ever heard of realism? Everyone is copying everyone there to the point where they copy the whole world. I'm just kidding, realism is copying the world, as we should. In reality, there's limited variation between chibi and semi-realism, which is the range that most comic artists draw in, and even more limited variation to that specific cell shading style that is the right amount of efficiency and visual appeal for comic production. There are obviously genre limitations too. For example, you're not gonna draw in a chibi art style for a romance fantasy because the tone of a romance fantasy is more serious than the appearance of chibi art. So I don't blame artists for having similar art styles. There are other ways to differentiate your art, but a lot of those ways are more time consuming. And webtoon artists don't have time. Just saying a problem exists without mentioning why is extremely unproductive.
Like, at least change their hair color. Change something, for God's sake.
You know what? I did agree with that. I used to think the exact same until I tried creating my own characters. You see, it's not about deciding a hair color for a specific character. It's about finding the right hair color that feels like this character. And I was caught between original character design for the sake of original character design and choosing a hair and eye color that I know is common, but I've tried every other color and it just doesn't look right. Designing a character a specific way in order to make him look original, despite the fact that he's going to feel more like the character you made with a common hair color, doesn't feel right. I'm not defending the fact that a lot of characters look the same. I'm just saying there might be a reason behind it sometimes that is not just this is popular so this is what I'm going with.
One thing that really bothered me was the extreme focus on the MC while completely ignoring everyone else. This left me with this bitter taste in my mouth.
I've never watched or read Solo Leveling, but I find it hilarious that he didn't like the solo leveling journey. The title is called Solo Leveling. What did you expect?
I tried other manhwas hoping for something fresh and new. I got the same thing, just worse. Most of them are just another author trying to copy the solo leveling formula. Somehow they still manage to be even more shallow than your average isekai, since they tend to focus only on the MC's solo journey.
I think I know what the problem is here. You're reading similar webtoons because you're looking for webtoons similar to Solo Leveling. There are plenty of original Korean webtoons not at all like Solo Leveling, but you don't enjoy those. You're just complaining that you can't find a webtoon that you like that is also original because you want to read something that you find as entertaining as Solo Leveling but with a different story, and that is just complaining to complain. And the frustrated feeling itself is normal. I feel the same, except I don't make a video on it blaming a country for my personal problems. I just accept the fact that my preferences don't align with a majority of Korean or English webtoons and stop reading. Just like how I stopped watching anime after I couldn't find one I enjoyed anymore, and didn't make a video titled "Why is anime trash?" where I say Japan will win an award for making the longest titles known to man. Or, as he would do it, "Why is anime so bad? Boo Japan! Why don't you cater to my needs?" Most web dramas or shows have the same reincarnation plot too. I mostly watch Z-dramas these days, but so many YouTubers react to those English vertical form short series, and they have the same plot too. It's just how the web field is. Who are you to decide on the worst country based on your very limited experience? You're actively looking for drama at that point. I hate how these people pretend like books don't exist in other countries. Books that they don't get to see because they're not globalized like mangas are. Why do they do this? I assume it's due to one or more of these words on the screen. I genuinely cannot tell if he's stupid or ignorant or self-centered or just racist. A guy who did not read a single physical manhwa before making a video on why manhwa is bad based on a single webcomic platform? Where have we heard this before?
In South Korea lies a massive media industry that is best described as the dollar store version of the Japanese media industry.
But why did he even do this, you ask? Because he can't read. He's not in Korea. He doesn't have access to Korean comic books. He doesn't speak the language, so he can't read even if he did have the access. So why then is he speaking on a topic that he doesn't have enough information on as if his opinion is valid? It's like if someone made a video titled "Comics are bad" and they spent the whole video talking about how American comics are bad because they don't like the Marvel universe. Can we stop ignoring racist and self-centered statements framed as clickbait to spread misinformation? When you run out of enjoyable content, move on to the next country. Language limits your enjoyment, but English subs and translations exist. What are you doing? You can watch the best ones from each country, so you no longer feel like media from a specific country is terrible. What do you mean they're starting to suck? They've been like this for years. See how everyone starts complaining at different times at a point when they've personally lost interest? It's this continuous cycle of new reviewers coming out saying the exact same thing, which is just, I can't find anything good these days because I've already read everything I might like. It's so boring and repetitive. Can we get some new content? Hey, I can make a video on YouTube being bad and how everyone copies each other, except there are already videos like this. It's almost like this shit happens everywhere. Despite the title, he never once mentions why manhwas are bad. There is plenty of other media out there to suit your preferences. Stop looking in the wrong place. I used to wonder, why isn't there a good webtoon to read? But now I just think it's not because webtoon is featuring bad webtoons, it's because good webtoons are not being made. Have you ever just thought the reason these slops are getting featured is simply because there's nothing else to feature? I hope this isn't a crazy take, because even if I go on Canvas, I can't find one to enjoy. Complaining about the fact that stories suck 24/7 is not gonna get us anywhere. You might as well complain about the earth being round. All we can do is wait for someone to just make a good webtoon one day. If there was a creative and original Canvas webtoon with visually appealing art, it would have gotten popular and it would have been published. The conversation shouldn't be webtoons suck 24/7, and if you're an unhinged webtoon hater, what if you just make a master course on writing for all the webtoon authors out there? What if you just apply to webtoon to write for webtoon? And then we wouldn't have this problem, would we? I'm just kidding, of course. You have better things to do, like read webtoons for a living. No wonder you can't find any more to enjoy. Creators can't out-create readers reading. Why don't you play some games instead to stall time, and also have footage for your review videos? I fucking hate drawing, and I still sat down for an hour to record a glazing process so viewers can look at something personal and related to the topic, at least by subject matter. There's too much work that goes into making a webtoon, and you're doing it for free in the beginning. So why would anyone who excels at both art and writing start a webtoon? With even half that talent, they would be able to get hired somewhere else where they make money from the very beginning. Not many people excel at both subjects as well. If someone is a god-tier author, they would most likely write a book, not a webtoon. If someone possesses magical hands, they would most likely become an illustrator, not a webtoon creator. It makes sense that webtoon creators are mostly half good or half bad at both writing and art, which is why even the conversation of webtoon authors being bad at writing is pointless. The platform is just set up for failure like that. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but due to the logical circumstances, I do think we should have less expectations, or at least not be surprised when a story is terrible. I don't think they even have webtoon authors in the traditional sense. I think they're just assigning artists to popular web novels, and I wouldn't be surprised if these web novels are kind of old, because older works generally feature more oppression if we're talking about that genre of romance fantasy slop. The thing about web novels is that they were meant to be read. That's why they're unhinged. Online literature like those smuts that some girls like to read, or fanfics that are extremely popular, are the same ordeal. I heard people complaining about what is essentially a fanfic that was made into a show and everyone hates it now. They liked it when it was an unhinged fanfic because it was a fanfic, and it's normal for fanfics to be like that. These fans weren't expecting or wanting for it to become real media. The stakes are so high now, we should not be promoting that shit to the world. Most of these fans didn't want to actually see the written scenarios play out live, or in our case, drawn, because seeing it happen makes it so much more real. It feels closer to reality, and in reality, we are turned off by these problematic concepts. Isn't this why Webtoon is holding contests now for or better ideas, merely pointing out that something is repetitively, but never diving any deeper into why this is the case is unproductive and useless.
Goddamn pretentious critics on YouTube. Can't believe you spent 20 minutes on analyzing a guy and shitting on him. You must be jealous or hate him.